Most people don't realize this. But a property transfer, even one that's signed, filed, and celebrated, can be legally reversed. All it takes is one thing: the original deed signed by the right person at the right time, and a clause they never expected anyone to find. That's what my brother didn't know. He thought it was over, that he'd won. He threw a party, invited family, friends, even our childhood neighbor, and me. The invitation just said, "Come celebrate a new chapter. Drinks at 6, dinner at 7. You'll love the surprise." What he didn't mention, what no one mentioned, was the address. But the moment I turned off the highway and pulled down the gravel drive, my stomach dropped. It was Grandpa's lake house, the one I helped him build a deck on when I was 17, the one I stayed up repainting by lantern light 2 summers ago, the one he always told me in his slow, thoughtful way, "Someday this'll be yours. You take care of it like I would." Jake was standing on the front porch in boat shoes and a linen shirt, holding a glass of bourbon like some low-budget Gatsby. "Surprised?" he said, smirking. "Guess Grandpa changed his mind." Everyone laughed. I didn't, because what Jake didn't know was that I already had the final deed, signed, notarized, dated 2 weeks after the version Jake and Dad submitted to the court. And in it was one very specific line: "This property shall not be reassigned without full review by both my attorney and intended heir." In that moment, standing in my late grandfather's living room, watching strangers admire the fireplace I helped rebuild, I made a decision. I wasn't going to yell. I wasn't going to cry. I was going to end this exactly the way Grandpa taught me, quietly, precisely, and without ever raising my voice. My grandfather's lake house wasn't just property. It was a living scrapbook of our time together. The scent of cedar planks, the hum of cicadas at night, the old blue chair on the dock where he'd fall asleep with a fishing pole loosely gripped in one hand. That house held pieces of me, pieces of him. And for as long as I can remember, I was the one keeping them in place. When my parents divorced and my brother Jake started bouncing between sports teams and new hobbies, I started spending weekends at the lake house. At first, it was just an escape, a quiet place where someone actually listened when I spoke. But over the years, it became more than that. It became a rhythm. Saturday mornings scraping chipped paint from the deck. Evenings stacking firewood in silence while Grandpa sipped from his thermos. He never praised me for it. Never made grand speeches. But every now and then, he'd glance over at me while we worked and say, "This place needs someone steady, someone who shows up." And I always did. Jake? Not so much. He'd visit maybe once a year, usually for the 4th of July party Grandpa hosted. He'd show up late, flirt with the neighbor's daughter, then disappear before cleanup. But somehow, he always managed to get credit for making the family feel complete. That was the difference between us. He sparkled. I showed up. My parents. They loved Jake in a way that never made sense to me. Not because they didn't love me too, but because with Jake, it always felt like they were hoping he'd become the man they imagined. With me, they assumed I already had everything I needed. I never complained, didn't rock the boat. That's not what I was taught. I just kept showing up for Grandpa until the very end. When Grandpa got sick, it wasn't dramatic, just a slow, quiet decline. He stopped making repairs, stopped fishing. I started spending longer weekends at the lake house, helping with groceries, making sure the pipes didn't freeze in the winter. He insisted on staying there, said it was where he felt most himself. In those final months, we didn't talk about the will. We didn't talk about what comes next. We just sat, watched the wind ripple across the lake, listened to jazz on the old radio. But before he passed, he said something I still carry in my bones. "I've made it clear. This house is for you, not because you want it, but because you earned it. And if anyone tries to twist that, don't let them." After the funeral, there was no formal reading of the will, no sit-down with the family attorney, just a series of vague emails from my dad. Assets were pretty evenly divided. Lake House had to go to cover costs. Jake offered to manage the paperwork, made things easier. I didn't push back, didn't question. Because grief has a way of making you numb. You don't want to fight. You want to believe that people will do the right thing. I told myself it must have been a practical decision. Maybe they really did sell it to cover taxes. Maybe Grandpa hadn't updated the documents in time. I mourned the loss of the house, privately, quietly, like I'd done everything else. Then came the housewarming invitation. No warning, no call, just a message in a group chat Jake rarely used. New chapter, can't wait to host y'all, bring swimsuits, you'll love the view. There was a time when I'd have assumed it was a joke, or that he'd bought a lake house of his own. But something in my gut felt wrong. I clicked the address, and when I saw the road name, Sawyer Creek Road, I stopped breathing for a second. It was our road, Grandpa's. I didn't RSVP, didn't ask questions. I just drove. And when I pulled into that familiar gravel driveway, sunlight hitting the exact spot where Grandpa and I once installed a new gutter system together, I realized I wasn't wrong. Jake hadn't bought a house. He'd taken one, and worse, he was proud of it. Inside the house, the changes were surface level. New backsplash, stainless steel fridge, flat screen over the fireplace where Grandpa's fishing plaques used to hang. But beneath the polish, I could still see everything I'd left behind. The old window frame I fixed in 2014, the patch of wood near the baseboard I'd hand-stained after the leak in the kitchen. It wasn't just a housewarming, it was a performance. A trophy presentation, with my legacy as the centerpiece. Jake floated across the room, soaking in compliments. And then, with a plastic cup in hand, he turned to me and said, "We were surprised too. Thought it'd go to you at first. But Dad said it made more sense this way. Besides, you're always off doing your own thing." Right? That sentence hit harder than anything else. You're always off doing your own thing. Like I hadn't spent years keeping this house from falling apart. Like I hadn't been the one who actually showed up. The shift. I smiled. I congratulated him. And then I went home and opened the box Grandpa left me, the one I'd tucked away and forgotten. Inside was a letter, a signed clause, and a phrase I'll never forget. If someone tries to claim this house without honoring the full record, I want you to challenge it. Don't let charm override character. And that's when I knew. Jake thought he'd pulled off a clean win, but the game wasn't over. Not even close. I didn't sleep the night I came back from Jake's housewarming. It wasn't just anger keeping me up. It was the weight of betrayal sitting in my chest like wet cement. You don't spend a decade investing in something, your time, your care, your memories, just to watch someone repackage it as their personal achievement. And you don't expect the thief to be your own brother. But here we were. I opened the old box Grandpa left me the next morning. I'd kept it stored in a drawer for years. Back then, I didn't open it because I thought it would hurt too much. Turns out, leaving it closed hurt worse. Inside was a sealed manila envelope labeled, "In case things get complicated, leave it to Grandpa." He always saw further down the road than the rest of us. I opened it with trembling hands and found two things. A copy of a document titled Addendum to Primary Will, Sawyer Lake Property Clause. A handwritten letter in Grandpa's neat, slightly slanted cursive. The document was notarized, dated 6 weeks before he passed. It included a clear instruction. This property shall transfer to my name, unless said transfer is obstructed or circumvented by an unauthorized party. In which case, the matter shall be reviewed by my appointed legal counsel. My name was listed twice in ink, with full intent. Jake's name wasn't there at all. The letter was even more direct. If you're reading this, then I'm guessing someone tried to play games. Maybe your brother, maybe your father, maybe both. You're not crazy, and you're not wrong. I left this place to you for a reason. You earned it. If they couldn't see that, make them. That line stayed with me. If they couldn't see that, make them. I didn't want a courtroom battle. I didn't want more strain in a family that already felt threadbare. But this wasn't about revenge. This was about truth. So I made a call. Mr. Downing, Grandpa's longtime attorney, was still practicing. He sounded older, slower, but he remembered everything. I told him about the housewarming, the updated will, the addendum, and Jake's surprise ownership. He went quiet for a moment, then said, "That clause was never filed. I was told by your father that the house had been sold off to pay debts. But if you have the document and it's dated after the previous version, then you may have legal standing. My heart started racing. Can I send it to you? Yes, he said. Send it today. I'll review it and call you back. I scanned everything. Send it before noon. By 3 p.m., he called back. This clause overrides the one your brother used. It was never nullified. And because I'm still the named legal representative of the estate, we can file a motion to challenge the transfer. My hands were shaking. This was real, not a maybe, not a memory, not some whisper of a promise made on a dock at sunset. This was law, black and white, ink on paper, exactly how Grandpa operated. The next week, Mr. Downing filed a petition to freeze the title. A formal notice of dispute was issued to the county registrar. Jake would be served within days. My phone rang 3 days later. It was Jake. I didn't answer. He texted instead, "What the hell are you doing?" Then, "This is petty. You know he changed the will." And finally, "Let's talk, before you embarrass yourself." I didn't reply, but I wasn't done. I asked Mr. Downing if there was any paper trail showing how Jake had acquired the house in the first place. He found it. It was a rushed property transfer, filed by my father on Jake's behalf as a family arrangement, with no independent review, no executor sign-off, and no disclosure of the updated will. In other words, they used an outdated document to sneak the house over to Jake while I was grieving. We filed an official request to challenge the validity of the transfer. A hearing was set. Jake would have to appear. So would my father. Then the guilt calls started. "Mom, is this really worth the drama? It's just a house. You're the stable one. You'll be fine. Dad, we just thought it was easier this way." Jake needed a win. Every word was a twist of the knife. Not once did they say, "We're sorry." Not once did they ask, "What do you need?" Because in their eyes, I'd always been the one who had enough, the one who didn't make waves, the one who could afford to lose without making a fuss. But not this time. At the hearing, I sat quietly at the end of the table while Jake and his lawyer made a show of confusion. We were told the house was available. There was no indication of a revised will. She never mentioned it before. Then Mr. Downing stood and presented the notarized clause. Handwritten, filed, stamped. Then he presented my grandfather's letter. The judge read it aloud, slowly, every word echoing in the cold, wood-paneled courtroom. "You're not crazy, and you're not wrong. I left this place to you for a reason." For once, Jake didn't speak, and I didn't have to, because the document spoke for me, because Grandpa had already said everything that mattered. The judge looked up and said, "We'll reconvene next month for a decision, but given the evidence presented, I would strongly advise Mr. Jacob, last name, to prepare for reversion of title." And just like that, the house was no longer his win. It was the beginning of his undoing. After the hearing, Jake went quiet. Too quiet. He didn't post, didn't call, didn't send one of his usual smug group texts trying to shape the story. And that silence told me everything, because for the first time, he wasn't holding the upper hand. A few days later, his lawyer reached out to Mr. Downing with a proposal. "Let's settle privately. Jake is willing to give up partial control of the property in exchange for avoiding a formal title reversal. We propose a co-ownership arrangement." Co-ownership? Of the house Grandpa left entirely to me? I didn't even respond. Mr. Downing did it for me. That would require us to ignore a notarized, post-dated legal document signed by the original grantor, which we won't be doing. Then came the guilt campaign. Mom called. "I just don't want to see my boys fight. It breaks my heart." My boys, as if we were toddlers wrestling over toys, instead of grown adults dealing with property fraud. Then Dad called. "Jake's been through a lot. He's feeling attacked. Maybe you could consider just selling it and splitting the money. Start fresh?" Fresh? I spent summers hauling lumber and cleaning gutters while Jake took selfies on someone else's dock. Now they wanted me to be the peacemaker? No, not this time. But I wasn't acting out of spite. I was building something much quieter and more permanent. While Jake panicked about court, I was doing something he never expected. I was preparing the house to be reclaimed. I contacted a local historical preservation nonprofit, Still Waters Foundation. Told them I wanted to donate the property as a part-time artist and writer's retreat. Seasonal, curated, purposeful. They loved the idea. I told them I'd fund the initial restoration myself once the title was cleared, and they offered to support the mission with a grant and board recognition. It wasn't just about taking the house back. It was about giving it a new purpose, one Jake couldn't corrupt with his beer coolers and Bluetooth speakers. Then came the second hearing. Jake showed up with a different tone. No smugness, just exhaustion and quiet dread. Mr. Downing presented the updated title chain, the filing history, and evidence that my father had bypassed formal probate procedures. The judge didn't even need a recess. It is clear that the transfer of this property was executed without adherence to the final will and testament of the deceased. Title is hereby ordered to be reverted to the named beneficiary, effective immediately. The respondent will vacate the property within 30 days and is responsible for reasonable legal costs incurred. Jake didn't look at me. He just stared at the table, jaw clenched. After court, I walked past him in the hallway. He said nothing, but as I reached the elevator, he muttered, "You really couldn't let me have this one thing?" I turned and looked at him, really looked. It was never yours to begin with. That night, I drove out to the lake. The gravel still crunched the same under my tires. The pine trees still swayed like they had secrets to tell. And the house, though empty, still felt full of memory. I unlocked the front door for the first time in nearly a year. No furniture, no welcome mat, just dust and echoes. But it was mine. Not because I fought for it, because I honored it. I lit a fire in the old stone fireplace, sat on the floor with my back against the wall, and just listened to the wind, the crackle of the flames, the way the house seemed to exhale, like it was finally free too. The next morning, I put in the call to finalize the partnership with Still Waters. They offered to fund educational workshops, provide housing for 2 visiting artists per season, and name the retreat after Grandpa. "You've given us a rare gift," they told me. No, he had. I was just putting it where it belonged. 2 weeks later, I received an envelope in the mail. No return address, just my name. Inside, a single page. "You won. Hope you're happy." No signature, but I didn't need one. I didn't write back, because this wasn't about revenge anymore. It was about truth, and that truth had already been written in court records, in title deeds, and in every memory that lived inside the beams of that house. Jake may have thrown a party, but I rebuilt a legacy, one that doesn't need applause, just quiet, and the right hands to carry it forward. I thought the court ruling would be the end of it. The title was back in my name. Jake was legally required to vacate the lake house. I had what was rightfully mine. But Grandpa, as it turned out, had planned one step further. A few weeks after the judgment, I returned to the house to begin repairs. Still Waters had already sent a contractor to assess the plumbing and wiring, and I'd started gathering the old photo albums I stored in the crawl space beneath the stairs. That's when I noticed something strange behind the fireplace mantel. An uneven strip of wood, slightly raised, like it had been pried loose and refastened. It was the kind of detail most people would overlook, but not me. I grabbed a flathead screwdriver and gently lifted the panel. Inside was a slim, weathered envelope with my name on it. Not typed, not addressed, just to be opened once it's yours again. I sat down in Grandpa's old rocking chair, heart pounding, and opened it with careful fingers. Inside was a handwritten letter. "If you found this, then you did what I thought you might someday have to do." I'm sorry it came to that. I hoped the paperwork would be enough, but I know how people can be, especially when money and pride get in the way. You always took care of this place like it was a person. You saw what others missed. You kept it breathing, and that's why I left you something more. My eyes moved to the second page, a key, and a map, Grandpa had owned an additional plot of land, 10 wooded acres just half a mile down the lake, bordering state parkland. It had no buildings, no structures, just space, solitude, potential. And in his will, hidden under a codicil clause, he had passed it to me, only to be revealed if the lake house transfer was ever challenged and returned to its rightful heir. It was his way of saying, "You didn't just protect what was mine. Now here's something that's yours." I called Mr. Downing immediately. He pulled the full document archive. Sure enough, there it was, page 17 of 23, filed, validated, quietly waiting for the right conditions to activate. I hadn't just won the house, I'd unknowingly unlocked something bigger. The twist wasn't just legal, it was emotional, because for all those years I felt overlooked. Grandpa had been watching, not with praise, not with flattery, but with foresight. He saw the storm coming and built shelter into the foundation. That land, I decided to keep it untouched, not because I didn't have plans, but because I didn't need to rush them anymore. For now, it would remain exactly what it was, a gift in waiting. A reminder that not every reward is meant to be displayed. Some are meant to be protected quietly, like a secret between kindred souls. As for Jake, he moved out, bitter and abrupt. Still Waters sent someone to collect the keys. When the staff member arrived, Jake left them on the porch in a ceramic bowl, along with a note that said, "Hope this place inspires someone. I'm done with it." I didn't respond. Not to that. Not to the cold text he sent weeks later that simply said, "Nice win. Must feel great." It didn't feel great. It felt right. There's a difference. Because this was never about gloating. It was about knowing that I hadn't imagined what Grandpa and I shared. That it wasn't just old paint and wooden planks. It was memory. It was respect. It was earned. A month later, I hosted Stillwater's first writer's circle on the property. 10 women, all over 40, each with a story they'd been waiting decades to tell. As the sun dipped over the lake and fireflies blinked between the trees, one of them turned to me and said, "It feels like this place was waiting for people like us." And I smiled, because they thought it was just a house. They saw square footage, a view, maybe a chance to show off at dinner parties. But for me, it was never about real estate. It was about roots. And when Jake took it, grinning like he'd earned it, it wasn't just a betrayal of a will. It was a betrayal of memory, of labor, of trust. But here's the thing about people who scheme quietly. They assume your silence means weakness. They don't understand it can also mean strategy. They think because you didn't fight back right away, you won't fight at all. They think just because you don't demand attention, you won't take up space. They're wrong. I didn't take back that house by force. I didn't scream, didn't post, didn't gather allies or fuel gossip. I opened the letter. I called the lawyer. I followed the trail my grandfather left for me. And when I stood on the dock again, this time alone, everything felt different. The trees hadn't changed. The water still lapped at the edge with that same familiar rhythm. But the air? It carried a kind of stillness I hadn't felt in years. Like the land was exhaling. Like it was waiting for someone to honor it again. Some people think legacy is built with money, with loud gestures, with who ends up on the deed. But I've learned something else. Legacy is built in who shows up when no one's looking, who picks up the hammer, who fixes the pipes, who stays long after the spotlight fades. Jake had the house for a few months. He had the parties, the pictures, the applause. But I had the truth. And when the dust settled, the truth is what held. Now the lake house is exactly what it was always meant to be. A place for people who carry quiet strength. A place where caretakers come to rest. Where writers come to reflect. Where women, especially those over 40 who've been told they've missed their window, can sit in the sunlight and remember, I'm still becoming. I named the space Still Waters, not just for the lake, but for the way I survived. Calm on the surface, deep underneath, and steady no matter the storm. Grandpa used to say, you don't have to tell people who you are. Just keep showing them. So that's what I did. Even when no one was watching. Especially when no one was watching, I don't talk to Jake anymore. Not out of bitterness, but because some chapters don't need sequels. Sometimes, justice doesn't look like revenge. It looks like peace. And if you've ever been written off, if you've ever had something taken from you by people who thought you wouldn't fight back, then I want you to know there's power in quiet. There's strength in stillness. And sometimes, the best revenge is never needing to explain yourself. Have you ever had something taken from you, something you earned, just because someone louder wanted it? Drop number 1 in the comments if you've ever had to reclaim what was already yours. And if this story hit home for you, tap that subscribe button. We tell stories here for the ones who were overlooked, the ones who didn't shout, the ones who just kept showing up, because they're the ones who deserve to be remembered. Next time, I'll share how I gave my parents every penny of my life savings to help them buy their dream home, only to find out they secretly signed the deed over to my stepbrother. But they didn't realize I still had power over one crucial thing, and it changed everything.